Hi, welcome to KitCoupleReview. Tonight on the workbench I'm showing you a 1:1 scale prop, a Halloween prop I put together. This is Sam from the great Halloween movie Trick or Treat. And it took me a while to get him built. The hardest part was actually just finding an actual kid's pajamas that would work for the idea I had for Sam. So I'm going to tell you on this video how I built it and everything I used, and give you a look behind the curtain, so to speak, as to what's in Sam and what I used around here that was cheap and inexpensive to get him built. Starting with the top, Sam's head is just a giant styrofoam ball. It cost me about $20. I picked it up, I believe, at Joann's. And then what I did was I took the ball and I painted it black, and then I cut felt. I also picked this up at Joann's. It's very cheap, very inexpensive. And I cut it into sections, about 4 sections. Then I laid it down with liquid latex, and once that was done I went and put a dark brown, little bit of paint on it in some areas just to make it look a little different. I then went back again and hit the entire head with liquid latex. The eyes are just buttons that I picked up again at Joann's. And on the movie there's fabric where the X's are, but they were too small. If I followed the pattern with fabric in each hole there, it would have been too small to see from far away. So I just used some brown paint that I had to paint the X's on the eyes to make it look like he's stitched together. For the mouth and the line going down his head, I didn't know what I would do or what I could use for that. What I ended up doing was I simply cut into a cardboard box pieces, and I tried to get them around the same size to give him a stitched together look for his mouth and down the center of his head. And it turned out really well. I was very happy with how it worked, and again I coated those with liquid latex. You always want to have some liquid latex around if you're building things like we like to do here at KitCoupleReview. The rope I mentioned, I bought that at Joann's as well, and I just wrapped it around his neck and put a little bit of tape on the ends so they wouldn't fray up too much. This, I used fabric stiffener on it to get it in the position I wanted. Again, using my old fabric that I picked up at Joann's. For the pajamas, it just took me a while to find them. I found them at a Goodwill, and I knew right away that I could use them to put my Sam together. For the interior body of Sam, he's just PVC pipe, and if you've seen my other videos here on KitCoupleReview, you can buy PVC pipe at Home Depot in 20-foot sections, and it's like not even $5 for the PVC pipe, and it's easy to cut, and they have all kinds of joints that you can use to put them together. And in a lot of cases you don't need to use any glue. You just pop them in and they're ready to go. For his Lollipop Weapon he used in the movie, again just a trusty piece of cardboard painted and coated with liquid latex again. This was actually a mixing stick I found that was I was able to paint it, so I needed it and used it, and it worked. I picked up some extra fabric in a nice color, just like he looks in the movie. Nice contrast. Use thick twine to sew it together to make it look stitched on for the patches. Really nice. Looking good. He has no arm on this section. At first I did have him with a shoulder on each point, but it made him look too boxy, and I really didn't like that. And I found that by taking one shoulder out, it gave me a nice, very nice profile with a giant round head and a sloping shoulders on both sides. Worked out really well. The fist, that was a little tricky because in the movie he actually has, well, I based this off a toy. In the toy he has a fist, and it looks very similar to this, so I didn't really know how I would do it, but I ended up, I'll show you here. I don't know if you can see, but the interior of this fist is just tin foil. Took a bunch of tin foil, balled it up, got it into the basic shape of a fist, and then I took my PVC pipe, you can see here, and pushed it all the way down into the tin foil. Then what I did is I used my trusty AV's Epoxy Sculpt. I've used this on other model kits, and use 50% of this and 50% of the other. Mix them together, and you have a window of about 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours. So I sculpted the AV's epoxy all over the tin foil, pushed it in, got it to look like a basically like a fist, closed fist, just like that. Again, I knew only about this much would even be showing once Sam was completed. When that was dry, I came in with liquid latex again, and I just cut some pieces of cloth here of the burlap, got it in looking just like it does in the movie. I came in too with some flesh tones, painted it up, and from far away and at night this looks fantastic. I've gotten a lot of compliments on it. Moving to the other fist. The other fist was a little tricky. I didn't want to have to sculpt a new one. So what I actually ended up doing was, it's just a bottle of water. And I cut a hole, big hole there, put my burlap all around it. And once it's tucked up high enough into that sleeve, it does the job. And it's super cheap, easy to use. I had it around the house. I love it when a plan comes together, and this entire project did. So just a water bottle with burlap on it for this hand. This is coming off. In the movie he carries a sack around full of candy, so I just used an old pillowcase, and inside there's just some giant pieces of styrofoam. And that was good because once it's in the yard it won't blow away. So that worked really well. Again, I was very happy with how that turned out. For the feet, those were a little bit more complicated. I didn't really know what I was going to do, but as it turns out, I bought a pair of shoes, and inside of the shoes, these were placed just to keep the shape of the shoe, I guess. So I ended up removing them, and it worked out really well for Sam. And again, I coated these with liquid latex just to protect them from the elements. Worked out really well. For the base, you can get these at Home Depot. I want to say they're about $12. And I'll show you a little bit more of what's going on with the base in just a second. I want to go up and show you Sam again and how he looks. For scale, I'm going to put Sam next to an old friend of ours here at KitCoupleReview, just so you get an idea for how big he is here. So you can see Sam next to Shogun Warrior's Dragoon and he is 24 inches tall. And as you can see, Sam just towers over him. And I kind of made this a little bit too big than he would be in real life, I guess, but you know, you're looking at it at nighttime, it's Halloween, you want people to be able to see it. So it really worked out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut right here, and I'm going to remove Sam's pajamas and show you what's going on underneath. Here's Sam, minus his clothing, to give you a look on the inside detail. And as you can see, it's just a bunch of PVC pipe. Nothing to it really. They have all kinds of joints you can get at Home Depot. I really like these kind versus the elbow. You have T-joints, they have crosses. Got a cross right here. And again, this is the area where I left the other shoulder off because it made him look just too blocky. And he's probably got about 3 feet of PVC pipe in him. You can see here I put a little bit of tape on the inside of this pipe just to reinforce this joint so it wouldn't slide around too much. And some newspaper right in the center of the body just to bulk him up a little bit. Here's his hips. I marked legs and arms so I don't get them mixed up. I did have some trouble with his body because of his head going back and forth, and put some tape in here to reinforce it in this hip area. But if you really want to get past that, you would just put a screw either here or here straight down to lock into that PVC pipe so it will not move at all. The legs, nothing to it. The feet again came from my old shoes. To bolt him down, so to speak, onto his platform, what you want to do is you go to Home Depot and you get these. These are, I want to say they're in the plumbing area and with all the pipes that they sell as well. And this is just called a floor flange. And this is a 2-inch version, if I remember right. 2-inch. And then you want to pick these up. I can't remember the names of them, but I ended up getting the 1-inch version. And the 1-inch version didn't really work. It worked, but it wasn't stable enough like the taller 2-inch version there. So I ended up going with the 2-inch version, and they screw right in to the flange. The flange was bolted to the, screwed to the platform. The platform was painted black, and that was basically it. Another trick I did use was on my PVC pipe, I measured about how much, so this entire section would be covered about 2 inches. And what I did was I took a knife, took my Leatherman, and you just score that part of the pipe. Score it so it creates a smaller circumference on the interior there. So this pipe, this PVC pipe, can slide in and out of that very easily. And there was nothing to it. Little work. Sam took me about a week, off and on, a couple days to build. So I'm going to go ahead and get him dressed, and we'll take a final look at him. And here we are with Sam, completely redressed, ready to go for Halloween night, and hopefully scare some trick-or-treaters. This is what I based him off of. I didn't have any photographs at the time, so I just basically worked off of this. I did not build the candy bar he holds with a knife in it. However, if I were to, again, I just use some PVC pipe with some AV's Epoxy Sculpt and paint it and tuck it in that hand instead of our pillowcase. I also did not build the pumpkin here. However, if I were to, I would simply buy a fake pumpkin from Michael's or Joann's, cut the design out, and then what you do is you buy one of those hanging fake fire torches. Put that in there, light it up, put a little light in there, turn that fan on, and it's going to give you the total flame effect very, very convincingly. So again, I want to thank you for watching this video. Hopefully one day out there you yourself shall build Sam here, Trick or Treat Sam, or another 1-to-1 scale Halloween prop to scare people on Halloween. As usual, this has been a Kit Couple Review production. We thank you for watching. Any questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you, and we'll see you in the next one. Happy Halloween.